What is up, duelists? Arts and Crafts here, once again bringing you your daily dose of Yu-Gi-Oh! Goat Format action. Today's feature match, we got Ash is Spicy, aka Fungus Among Us on Discord, against Killer 9208. As always, both players rated in the top 200 of the Dueling Book Goat Format ladder at the time this match was played. Let's hop right into it. Looks like Ash is Spicy is going to win that RPS. And they are going to lead out with a good old T-set pass, the classic Goat Format opening. We'll see how Killer can respond. Nobleman of Crossout is a good way to steal back the tempo here. Hitting a Dekoichi, so signifying likely some sort of Chaos deck. See how many copies both players are playing. Looks like Killer is not on any Dekoichis, which is a little bit interesting. Gives Ash's Spicy a little bit of intel as to what Killer could be playing. Pretty much not Chaos Turbo is what that means. Ash's Spicy running at least the 2 copies of Dekoichi. When we're going to get a normal summon Spirit Reaper here, so maybe we've got a little bit of Zombies action, maybe some Warrior action here out of Killer. Spirit Reaper is going to come down, get in for 300, and threaten to rip out a card. Ash's Spicy has no battle traps here, so they're just going to go down a card here from the Spirit Reaper activation. So Killer 92 off to a really nice start. Knock plus Spirit Reaper is a very strong opening. Going to hit a knock of Ash's Spicies, which, if Killer is just running Warrior, is honestly sort of fine for Ash's Spicy because knock is generally pretty dead in that matchup unless Killer is main decking some number of flips. That's somewhat rare. I feel like generally the play as Warrior is, if you want to play flips, play him in the side, right? Because you don't want to give your opponent knock targets game 1. So, and then if you have the flips in game 2, like they probably bring the knocks out, so then you get the value for them. I don't see a point in running the flips main deck because then it just makes your opponent's knocks a lot better, which is one of the advantages of Warrior decks and a lot of the more aggressive decks in the meta. They get a lot of their mileage off of blanking certain cards like knock in game 1, so I don't know why you would throw away that advantage and then just play into knock, is kind of my point there. Obviously, I don't know what Killer is doing. That was just kind of a soapbox for a second, so sorry about that. But that is kind of my feeling about playing flips in Warrior. Just put them in the side deck. I think they're good, but they're good post side. Either way, though, Killer off to a solid start here. Not really threatening too much damage-wise, but Reaper will just slowly rip away cards out of Ash's Spicy's hand unless they have a way to deal with it. So Ash's Spicy under a lot of pressure. They're going to hold priority to play around potential Trap Dust Shoot here in the draw phase. Can fire off a Regeki Break, maybe an MST to get down below 4 cards before Killer has the opportunity to use a potential Trap Dust Shoot. Yeah, we're going to go MST, pop the back row, hitting a Ring of Destruction, so didn't really need to play through Trap Dust Shoot there, but I like being aware of that and going for it, and you still get a nice little trade with your MST, trading it for a ring. So nice play there out of Ash's Spicy for sure. They get to main phase 1 with no back row to worry about, just a Spirit Reaper staring him down. We're going to Jar of Greed here to drop back up to 4 cards. Cool, but no Dust Shoot to worry about now, of course. And we're going to go T-set pass here again, add another back row as well. And just trying to get something in the way of the Spirit Reaper definitely makes sense to me, so that you stop getting cards ripped out of your hand. Killer, follow-up play. We're going to go Kaiku. Okay, so looking to probably beat over the set monster with the Kaiku and then get in with the Spirit Reaper here again to rip out the last remaining card in hand. I believe that would be the play. Ash's Spicy has Mirror Force, though, so Killer not playing around the Mirror Force and just getting completely... I mean, I guess it's not the end of the world. This is a massive tempo and board advantage swing, though. Killer did have the extra card to spare, thanks to the Spirit Reaper hit earlier. But unfortunately, running into the Mirror Force, Ash's Spicy getting really solid value here, protecting their set monster as well. And I think Ash's Spicy is now probably slightly ahead at this point in time. Killer can just add a back row pass, already used their normal summon, of course, on the Kaiku. And now Ash's Spicy has taken back board control. We'll see what they can do with it. Gonna flip up Magician of Faith. With, I guess you probably just grab the MST here, especially seeing Kaiku and Spirit Reaper. It still kind of screams Warrior to me, even though we haven't seen a Warrior deck or a Warrior card just yet. But if the opponent's main decking Spirit Reaper and Kaiku, like they probably don't have too many knock targets. So I think you're probably just going to flip up, grab the MST, try and pop that back row, and then go from there. Like the play, we're going to get in for 300 first. Might as well. And we're just going to go set a monster, set a back row pass. Okay, so Ashes Spicy. Choosing to save the MST here for a new back row out of Killer, which is a little bit interesting because now Killer knows to play around it, so they'll probably try to bait it out with the bluff set or something. I feel like a lot of players probably just use the MST on this back row. Obviously, it could be chained, right? It's kind of, I guess it depends on what your read of this new back row is, right? Because there is a chance it's just like a jog or something. But it's basically like you're guaranteed to hit something, or either you just use your MST now to hit something that Killer set without knowing that they had to play around MST, or now you have to play the bluff game later on. You would also just save MST for a point where you want to get aggressive potentially. Like if you have like set spy here or something, you can wait until next turn, clear out a back row, and then go for it. That's something I kind of like to do is even if you can just use your MST sometimes, it might be good to just hold it for when you can exploit the fact that your opponent has no back row. Because if you just use it, pop a back row, and then they go and set another one, you really didn't get too much advantage out of it, right? So it's good to be able to force through an attack or something the same turn that you use MST in order to get maximum value off of it. But either way here, Ashes Spicy in a good spot, has resolved that Magician of Faith, had that really valuable Mirror Force, has another set monster here to continue to pressure Killer, and our potential warrior player here very much on the back foot. They do have Rhoda here, okay? So I'm confirming pretty much that they're on a warrior deck. We're going to go Rhoda for Donzalug. So going for full hand control. We've got main deck Reaper, main deck Donzalug. We can go Dawn, try and beat over the Magician of Faith, I guess. There's no Mirror Force to worry about, and there's not going to be any Sakuretsu armors main deck. So there's a decent chance that this attack gets through. Unless there's like Ring or something. Killer's going to go beat over the Faith. But we got MST on the back row. Okay, hitting a Sakuretsu. Nice. Yeah, so at the end of the day, Ashes Spicy just using the MST on that singleton back row regardless. And then, okay, gonna go attack. We're gonna go Book the Faith, which serves two purposes. A, it prevents the Donzalug from getting in for damage, so it saves your card in hand. And B, it resets Magician of Faith's flip effect, so you can go back and grab another card. That is why they chose to use their MST there, because I think the play is to just re-grab MST with Faith, so you can play for the third time this game. It's pretty nice. Otherwise, you probably just... Oh, we're actually just going to re-grab the Book of Moon. That's interesting. So I wonder what the purpose of going... maybe it's to play around, like, Ring or something? Maybe that's the idea? Because you didn't need to MST there, especially because you're not going to grab it off of the Faith. But I guess you want to test the back row in case you like force out a Ring on your Faith or something. And then you can chain the book to it, which would be really strong. So just kind of testing the back row there with the MST. Still getting value off of it, but then opting to grab the book here, which is, in a vacuum, a very good card against, or a decent card against Warrior. So that definitely could make sense. And then Killer's going to set a back row pass here, has this Donzalug chilling. Ashes Spicy. I mean, we're still at card advantage parity, though. And the board state is relatively simplified, which is kind of nice for Killer at this point in time. Warrior loves it when there aren't a lot of cards floating around. But Ashes Spicy, depending on what this set monster is, could be in a pretty good spot if it's like Spy or something. Okay, we're going to fire off Upstart Goblin, dig a little bit further into the deck. Then we're going to go set one, and then flip up the Faith, setting the back row first to play around a potential Trap Dust Shoot, especially now that you know that Killer is on Warrior. They likely have at least 2 copies of Dust Shoot in the main. Flip up Faith here. I guess at this point, once again, you probably just grab the MST and continue to pop it. Maybe Upstart, depending on what's exactly in your hand. But you have some solid options here. And I guess that makes grabbing the book off of the previous Faith a little bit better as well, because then you have book on your remaining Faith too. We're actually just going to go for the Upstart Goblin, draw an extra card, sure. So doing some digging, not valuing, popping this back row. Set a monster, book the Faith, and then pass. I guess the idea there is you don't want to set the book in case Killer has MST or Dust Tornado set, because then they can pop it and then attack over the Faith with the Donzalug. That does essentially signify for Killer that this back row is probably not a battle trap. It could be very well be like a dead trap dust shoot or something. So there's a little bit of a read there potentially for Killer that they could exploit. Because otherwise, you're probably fine just setting Book if you actually have a battle trap to also protect the Magician of Faith. That's my thought. Killer here. Let's see what the play is. Gonna go attack that Faith. Sure. So many Faith activations this game. Not doing like anything super duper amazing. We're only really, recuperating MSTs, upstarts, Book of Moons that aren't really doing too much. But Ashes Spicy just trying to dig through the deck with their upstarts and their books on the Faiths for more upstarts until they can find some of the cards that are really good against Warrior. So just trying to stall things out as best they can. Ko's going to set another back row pass. Don here continuing to apply some pressure, but not threatening the life points at all. So Ashes Spicy is probably feeling pretty comfortable right now. We're going to go flip Summon Spy. Cool. So Spy resolving against Warrior is always quite strong. You get one in defense position to wall out basically every monster in the Warrior deck except for BLS and Ninja Grandmaster Sasuke. We've got Book of Moon on this Spy once more, setting it back in defense position so Dawn can't beat over it. Once again, just using it in the main phase to play around potential back row removal out of Killer. And if Ashes Spicy has a third Spy, if they're running triple Spy, which is pretty common in Turbo nowadays, this is really strong because you're threatening to bring out another one. Killer lets that happen, and yeah, Killer is now just facing down a pretty oppressive Spy wall here. Really needs to find like a tribe-infecting virus or something stat before things get a little bit out of control. Top deck Pot of Greed is a good way to dig for some answers here. Into Knock, okay. So Knock going to come through, banish that Spy. Ashes Spicy is running the third, but that will get banished off the Knock. Looks like Killer is not main decking any, which, as I said before, I like. But they still do have the Spy here, causing the stalemate on board that they can hide behind until it gets answered. But now Killer has one less Spy to worry about, or potentially two less Spies if the second one was able to flip. So really clutch Pot into Knock there to answer that potential play, but still more work to do to get through this second Spy. We're just going to go Don's Luke to defense, set a back row pass, and we got a little bit of a stalemate here, which definitely favors Turbo. But Killer was at least able to make a little bit of progress that turn. Ashes Spicy just set a back row pass. That'll get popped with Dust Tornado in the end phase. Setting Premature Burial, which is not a card you often see in Turbo nowadays, but I do know Ashes Spicy is on the Abyss Soldier, potentially main deck Kaiku technology, which makes Premature a lot better. Abyss Soldier plus Premature Burial is a classic combo, gets you, basically infinite reuses once a turn of Premature Burial, as long as you have Sinister to continue to discard for it, which is quite strong, but just using it here as a bait for this Dust Tornado. Yeah, no copies in Grave for that. That is the reason why Premature isn't often played in Turbo nowadays, is because the standard monster lineup for Turbo does not have a lot of good Premature Burial targets. It's basically only BLS, Tribe, maybe Sangan, and maybe Sork. But BLS and Sork have to actually be summoned first. You can't just dump them in the grave and Premature Burial them. So oftentimes you just don't really have any good Premature targets. But if you're like Ashes Spicy and you like to run Abyss Soldier and you like to run Kaiku, it gets you a few extra targets and it can make the card definitely worth it. Still a little bit of a stalemate here, though, of course. Yep, just draw a pass. See who blinks first. We're going to Raigeki break on the Donzalug. Okay, so Ashes Spicy finding the Sinister Serpent here. Going to use it pre-standby phase, so you can just re-grab the Serpent after this effect is gone. And popping the Donzalug means that Ashes Spicy likely trying to get a little bit aggressive here. So interested to see what they have in hand exactly to make this play. But the Don will hit the grave. Sinister comes back to hand. Ooh, and we have Abyss Soldier. Yes, so using Raigeki Break, clear out the Donzalug. You have the Sinister here in hand once again to use with the Abyss Soldier. And now you can bounce a back row, get in for some damage. Really nice tempo swing here for Ashes Spicy. Just going to 50-50 it. Yeah, I don't think you have too much of a read on either of those. Just going to bounce one, get in for 18. And this is pretty nice, starting to apply pressure to Killer. Can do this every turn, of course, with the Sinister. Abyss Soldier plus Sinister is just a crazy tempo combo at this point in time. So we'll see if Killer can break this up, or if they'll just get kind of slowly, not grinded down, because it's obviously not a card advantage, but just kind of, pressured for a really long time, making it pretty awkward to make certain plays. Killer's going to go premature burial of their own here, and Kaiku could just come out here, maybe trade with the Abyss Soldier, break up the combo. Not a terrible use of premature in this scenario. Yeah, so Kaiku's going to come out. Going to go just trade with the Abyss Soldier. I think Killer is totally fine doing that, just to break up that combo. But they still don't have any way of getting through the spy just yet. So Ashes Spicy still probably pretty happy at this point in time, just chilling behind this Gravekeeper spy. You can once again regrab that Serpent, set a monster pass. Interesting. Could very well be Serpent, but no guarantee. Killer is going to go Mystic Swordsman level 2. Cool. So could have been holding onto that for a while, because we haven't seen a set monster out of Ashes Spicy for several turns. And now we're going to try and pop a potential set threat here. Could just be the Sinister, but totally fine. Yeah, it is Sinister, so Stalemate still here. No plus for Killer. Ashes Spicy could get a little bit aggressive and go Spy into attack position, kill the Mystic Swordsman. Because even though Mystic Swordsman isn't threatening you right now, it does make it really awkward for you to set any non-bluff in the future. So if you could potentially just clear it out, that would be pretty strong. It is a little risky putting your Spy into attack position to do that, though. So likely would rather do it with like a breaker or something like that, where you don't have to risk that. Or you could just be content to continue to Serpent block every turn. Big decision here for Ashes Spicy. Gonna really depend on what cards are in your hand. But now you're at the point where Sinister grabbing it back here puts you into Dust Shoot range, and that's definitely... We haven't seen one out of Killer at all this game. Haven't tested for it in a while. So if there are some cards in your hand you want to protect, you probably don't grab the Sinister here. We'll see if Ashes Spicy chooses to make that play. Yeah, just going straight to main phase 1, playing around Dust Shoot. Gonna set a monster, so now Killer knows that it's not Sinister. But maybe... Oh, so this is an interesting bluff, right? It's like, okay, what in the world are you setting into Mystic Swordsman level 2? It has to be Sangan, right? If you have no back row here. Kind of an interesting play. We'll see what Killer decides to do. I mean, this could be a crazy mind game, though, right? And, like, Killer would be like, well, the only card you would ever set into Mystic Swordsman here with the Sinister Engrave is Sangan, so I'm not going to attack it. But then it could actually be a decent flip, right? Although we know it's not Dekoichi, and we know it's not Spy, and it's probably not Faith, because I don't think Ashes Spicy runs triple Faith. Probably don't have room for it with, like, the Abyss Soldier stuff going on. So is it like a Night Assailant? That would be weird. I'm not sure if Ashes Spicy... I don't think they run Night Assailant anyway. Well, I don't know if Killer would know that. We'll see. Is it just going to be Sangan? Oh, it's going to be Faith. Wow, so okay, so Ashes Spicy is on the triple Faith technology and going for a little bit of a crazy mind game there, but it not working out. I guess trying to represent Sangan, but Killer's like, okay, whatever. I'm just going to kill it. Gets a nice little +1 there. And sure, the Spy still hasn't been dealt with, but Killer's actually kind of grinding out here a little bit at this point in time. Gonna add a set monster of their own and a couple back row. Gotta read Solemn in the back row here if you're Ashes Spicy. What could they be setting? We know they don't main deck Spy. It could be Faith of their own, because Faith has never been knocked. That would be kind of crazy. There's Pot and Grave to grab. We'll see if Ashes Spicy respects the potential Magician of Faith, or it could just be like a, DD Warrior Lady or some random card that you set there. Ashes Spicy, once again, not grabbing the Serpent to play around Dust Shoot, so very, very much valuing some of the cards in their hand, I guess. And they're just going to set a back row pass. And it is Magician of Faith. Yeah, so Killer is running the main deck flip. Cool. I guess maybe there is some value in main decking flips as Warrior if you save them for late game once your opponent has, like, discarded their knocks for, like, Regeki breaks and stuff because they think, oh, I can't ever use them. So Faith coming in clutch here really late for Killer. Going to flip up, grab Pot of Greed. And this is going to be really strong. Still just needs to dig for an out for this Spy. And DD Warrior Lady is one, so we can just crash the DD Warrior Lady into the Spy. This is also big because banishing it keeps Ashes Spicy off of Chaos, and there's a good chance that they have Chaos in hand because they've been playing around Dust Shoot for so long. So DD Warrior Lady is actually one of the best outs to the spy you could have in the deck just to keep your opponent still off Dark's Engrave. And Mirror Force is already gone, so these attacks are really safe. Banish both of them, and then start beating in for 1200 a turn. So finally, the Spy Wall is gone. No more left in either player's deck to worry about. Killer has kind of, assembled a pretty ragtag band of offensive cards here. But Mystic Swordsman does threaten a lot of potential sets out of Ashes Spicy, although they don't have too many left in the deck. But hey, 1200 a turn is still a clock, right? And Ashes Spicy is going to have to respect it. Good draw for turn. Still not grabbing that Sinister, so keeping something in hand. We're gonna go normal summon Sangan, probably beat over the Mystic Swordsman is the idea here. We're gonna Sakuretsu the Sangan to keep the Mystic Swordsman on board, just to keep the clock. So valuing the 900 points of damage, even though you still get -1 here. So valuing the life total pressure and the board advantage from this Mystic Swordsman. And you know what? Like I was saying before, I guess Mystic Swordsman does exude a lot of pressure just by existing. So maybe Killer, it's a bit of a gambit from Killer saying, I'm going to sacrifice a card here to keep my Mystic Swordsman around and make Ashes Spicy's plays a lot more awkward. So we'll see if it works out. Killer obviously has some cards to spare here at this point in time, having resolved double Pot of Greed in this game. So interested to see exactly how this plays out, but it's an interesting gambit that could very well work out if they can continue to apply pressure here. Ashes Spicy Tsukiyomi is generally a pretty good card against Warrior, so wouldn't be surprised to see that come through. That does come through, and Killer needs to have another way of protecting their Mystic Swordsman at this point, right? Well, then we're just going to go main phase 2, Summon Sork. So Sangan getting in the grave. That was the one other thing about Killer Sakuretsuing the Sangan. Like, we just talked about DD Warrior Lady being perfect to keep the dark out of the grave. Killer could have let the Sangan just kill the Mystic Swordsman. Because Sangan was their only dark, and it would have stayed on the board and then not in the grave. But Sakuing it to keep the Mystic Swordsman alive means the Sangan is going to hit the grave, fuel that Chaos Monster that we were pretty sure Ashes Spicy had in hand. And now, unless it gets Solemned, this will be a pretty nice plus for Ashes Spicy. You can go ahead and banish this Mystic Swordsman. Solemn will come through, though, so Killer saying, you know what, I'm fine. Get that Sangan in grave. I'm just going to Solemn the following Chaos Monster. Keep my aggression on board, continue to poke at you. So, yeah, Killer all in on this sort of tempo play here. Oh, and then we just have BL. Oh, man, so Ashes Spicy nicely baiting out the Solemn Judgment here. Must have had 2 Chaos Monsters in hand for this long. Definitely made them want to play around Trap Dust Shoot for a while. Really prioritize getting Dark's Engrave. Summoning the Sork first, not only does it make sure that eats removal that Killer could have saved for the BLS, but also when the Sork gets answered, good chance it hits the grave, and then becomes a Dark to fuel BLS again. So Killer, do you have a second Solemn? That's somewhat unlikely, but we do have second Solemn. Wow, so Killer's going all the way down to 1700, or no, that's not real math. Some amount of life. Ooh, and we've got Jar of Greed here from Ashes Spicy. I can't remember exactly when they said that. I feel like that was a few turns ago. So holding it here to play around Dust Shoot, and now that all of the good Dust Shoot targets are answered, might as well fire off your jars and stuff. Yeah, so Killer dropping down to 1650 here. But so going all in on protecting this, they are, up like a card and a half or something. So simplifying the state here, it's not too bad. You've also answered double Chaos already. So despite you not having the strongest offensive push here, I think all the plays here totally make sense. And then Ash looks like they drew into Thunder Dragon for turn, once again choosing to just put the Thunder Dragons in grave to play around Dust Shoots. And I wonder how much playing around Dust Shoot might have hurt them this game, right? Because they They spent several turns now not regrabbing Sinister. They spent several turns with the dust shoot targets. Yeah, BLS and Sork, it sucks to get those, see those get dust shooted. But they were also dead, so it's like not the end of the world if they get sent back. You know what I mean? Um, and now discarding a Thunder Dragon to do it, holding Jar of Greed for several turns. So I wonder what they have in hand that makes it so worth it to play around Dust Shoot for this long. Like, I don't know if dead BLS is worth all of the distortion of your plays you had to go through in order to play around the Dust Shoot. Definitely let me know what you guys think in the comments. I think it could go either way, but it feels like they really kind of they gave up on a lot of resources to go for that play, and then by the time that they were able to, Killer just like had a bunch of answers to it, right? And so maybe if you just like let the dust shoot resolve earlier and kind of played through it, especially when you like had Jar to help with it as well, maybe it could have gone a little bit better potentially. Ashes Spicy's still not down and out at all, right? There's still life to this game. Killer's only at 1,650 life points, and Ashes Spicy still has Ring in the deck most likely. So still could win this, but I wonder if slow rolling the hand for this long was detrimental because I had to go to great lengths to play around Dust Shoot. Kind of an interesting spot, I think. Killer here, ragtag band of monsters. Send the Faith to defense to protect your life points. That definitely makes sense. Could also maybe argue that sending Mystic Swordsman to defense could be kind of nice. Although I guess you wouldn't die to Sork beat over it, right? Summon Sork, kill the Faith would be game if it was left in attack position, whereas it's not game for Mystic Swordsman. So I think, yeah, probably keeping the bigger clock here makes more sense. And Blade Knight, a full power 2000 attack Blade Knight will come down here to continue to apply even more pressure. So Killer has finally gotten through all the spies, answered the Chaos monsters. Chaos is now not live for Ashes Spicy, and at the end result, they are left with some aggressive monsters on board, and Ashes Spicy has no defenses, and this is a pretty quick clock here if Ashes Spicy can't put anything in the way. You can draw for turn. Snatch on the Blade Knight is pretty nice, and we're going to Tsukuyomi. We knew Tsukuyomi was in hand, so that's going to come down here to, forever steal the Blade Knight. That will resolve. We're going to go attack into the Mystic Swordsman with the Tsukuyomi. So playing around Mirror Force here by keeping the Blade Knight face down. I think that's fine. There's no real rush to kill this Magician of Faith at this point of time. Especially because it is their light. You don't really want to get the light engrave if you don't really have to, or if you can't, kill them the same turn. And this sets up for a game push next turn, right? If you go, assuming you can get a card out of your hand, you can go on the Blade Knight, Sook, kill Faith, 2,000 attack point Blade Knight attack in. So killing the Faith here doesn't really increase your clock at all, and it puts a light engrave for Killer. So I like this play out of Ashes Spicy. Playing around Mirror Force and also just killing the one monster definitely makes sense. You go flip summon Blade Knight. I guess at this point, you don't even need to... And I guess we knew that the last card in hand was Thunder Dragon. Okay. So I guess at this point, don't even need full power Blade Knight to kill, to represent lethal. So Ashes Spicy is actually passing with lethal technically on board. No lights engraved for Killer, like we mentioned. So despite all this great work they had, the double Solemns, right, pretty risky if you're in a position where your opponent can actually pressure you. Snatch Steal coming in clutch here for Ashes Spicy to get them actually some offense basically out of the blue here. And now Killer needs to find a way to stabilize. Otherwise, it's going to be pretty tough. Let's see what they have. Gonna go set a monster in the way of this Blade Knight. Okay. Ooh, top deck Graceful Charity. Okay. I thought things were looking good for Killer, but a nice sequence of plays here out of Ashes Spicy. Snatch Steal plus Graceful. I mean, at this point, you should just be grabbing your Sinister back, though. I feel like at this point, Ashes Spicy played around Dust Shoot for so long that they just forgot that they still had the Sinister engraved, which would be pretty nice when you just resolve the Graceful Charity, of course. See what they keep off of it, though. Going to discard the Tsukuyomi and a Delinquent Duo, which is somewhat dead here. So must have kept some good stuff. We're going to go Heavy Storm, clear out the back row. hitting a Pro Set Heavy and a dead Trap Dust Shoot. Cool. And then Blade Knight will attack the set monster. Blade Knight is the only monster on the field for Ashes Spicy, so it will negate flip effects. It's just a breaker that killer is setting defensively. Interesting. And yeah, so still keeping the light out of the grave smartly, preventing BLS from coming down. And then Ashes Spicy has a really nice lineup here with Blade Knight and a set back row. We're going to ring on the Blade Knight for game. Show me Book of Moon. And there it is. Ashes Spicy takes down game one. Looks like it was potentially out of their grasp there. Sitting behind a spy for a really long time. It finally getting answered. Both of their Chaos Monsters getting solemned. And then they had actually the Snatch Seal after that to pressure the very low life points from Killer. So, yeah, Solemn, is a very good card in the Warrior deck, especially when you're able to apply pressure. But if you activate a bunch of Solemns and your opponent can apply pressure against you, suddenly it can look like a pretty big liability. And Ashes Spicy is going to take that all the way to the bank here with a Snatch Steel Blade Knight, plus the Ring of Destruction. And yeah, pretty well played overall there in game one. Killer will be able to go first here in game two on Warrior, but Warrior losing game one against Turbo is quite bad for them. It's definitely a deck that you want to win game one, or a matchup where you want to win game one, because Turbo generally brings in at least like 5 or 6 cards for the matchup, making it probably swing back into Turbo's favor, right? Whereas Warrior can kind of shamelessly pre-side for Turbo because it's Chaos Turbo. So now Killer will be able to go first here, but they're down a game in the match, and the rest of the games will be played post-side, so Ashes Spicy definitely the favorite at this point to take down this match. Might not be a 2-0, but a 2-1 definitely relatively likely. Killer going to set a monster pass. We know that they are on Magician of Faith, but unlikely that that's the set card because they had no spells to go with. And honestly, not the most... usually at a Warrior, a good opening is like playing a bunch of back row. So seeing none here out of Killer, a little bit unfortunate. We'll see if Ashes Spicy can punish this potentially lackluster draw. Upstart Goblin here to find some stuff. Into Scapegoat. Okay, so Ashes Spicy, a little bit of Chaos Control action here, at least post-side. Definitely a very common strat against aggro decks is to, if you're not main decking them, bring in those Scapegoats, those Metamorphoses, maybe the creature swaps against Warrior, just to clog up the board as best as possible. Using it here in main phase 1 is a little bit interesting. I'm not... I guess if you have the meta in hand... Well, no, if you have the meta in hand, you can't use it, right? Because you already summon a monster this turn. So I wonder what we're playing around by just going main phase 1 Scapegoat. Because it's not like there's back row you have to worry about popping it, right? Interesting. Yeah. I feel like I'm missing something here. So I'm not going to say that this is like wrong. But it doesn't come to my mind right now exactly why you would want to do this in main phase 1 when there's no back row. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out immediately. for creature swap. Duh. Wow, I feel dumb. Yeah, we're going to go Scapegoat so we can go play creature swap. Of course. Yeah, so Ashes Spicy definitely siding into more of a chaos control sort of configuration here. Creature swap coming through quite strong. Gets to steal a Gravekeeper Spy, so Killer siding those in. So definitely going for a little bit of flip Warrior action here. Post side, we knew that they weren't main decking them because it got knocked in game 1, if you recall, and they showed that they didn't have any in deck. So bringing in at least 2 copies out of the side here against Chaos Turbo, which is pretty common, but it will get stolen by a creature swap, which is really strong because Ashes Spicy has spies of their own in deck. So really strong opening move here from Ashes Spicy, getting tons of value out of their smokescreen side deck strategy as early as turn 1, and getting one of the best monsters to potentially, or to possibly creature swap here off of this early activation. Gonna pass here, no back row, but you're chilling behind a bunch of goat tokens and a Gravekeeper Spy, so you're pretty happy. Killer just has a token and some cards in hand to their name. It's gonna go set a bunch of back row pass. No monster here, so Spy being answered, potentially quite strong for Ashes Spicy. because now Killer seems to not have a follow-up play, and this could be a pretty nice tempo swing. For Ashes Spicy, they can go flip up Spy. Even you can go Spy into attack position if you want, and start whittling away at Killer's life points. Could be interesting. Do the plays. We're going to go flip summon Spy. We're going to Spy into attack position. Yeah, so we're going to start threatening the life, clear out the token that you gave them. Oh, but Torrential is going to come down here in main phase 1 and just clear out everything. And that is actually probably the perfect answer to all of that, if you were a Killer, I think. Because it cleans up both Spies, it cleans up all of the Goat tokens. And so, honestly, at the end of the day, things are somewhat even at this point, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, we're just back to parity thanks to that Torrential Tribute. Not a card that you always would think to play against Chaos Turbo. Especially in a deck like Warrior that likes to summon monsters, of course. But I guess especially if you are anticipating potential Scapegoat stuff out of the side deck, Torrential becomes a lot better. And Killer finding a very, very solid time to use it to basically negate all of the really good stuff that Ashes Spicy had done up to this point. And now we are back at parity. And you know what? Maybe Killer actually does have a monster in hand, and they just didn't want to summon it because they knew that the Spy Flip was coming through, and so they wanted to have a clean Torrential. They could just wipe out all of Ashes Spicy's monsters, sandbag your monster for a turn so it doesn't get in the way of the Torrential, and maybe now that Ashes Spicy's play have been, completely answered here, now you can go and start applying pressure with your own monsters. Ashes Spicy does have a normal summon for the turn. Going to set a monster. We'll see what Killer can deal with that. No back row here to worry about. Graceful Charity coming down to dig through the deck. Really strong. Going to discard a Call of the Haunted without really any good targets. And a Tribe Infecting Virus, which is... Yeah, I mean, at this point, Tribe against Turbo is best at dealing with Chaos, which Ashes Spicy is nowhere near. Or it's best at dealing with Spies, but one of the Spies has already been dealt with. So... ditching the Tribe, I guess, makes a little bit more sense than normal. Killer's... this just looks like a Chaos Turbo mirror at this point, almost, right? Just going to set another monster and add another back row. Pass. Magician of Faith is very much a threat here. Ashes Spicy did see it game 1, so I'd be interested to see if they keep in some sort of Nox, or maybe they bring in the Mind Cons, take out the Nox or something. Siding against Warriors that, run flips can be pretty interesting sometimes. About okay, how much set monster do I bring in or not? So I'd be interested to see exactly what Ashes Spicy's configuration is here. They're gonna drop return. We have Breaker here, just gonna shotgun it into these 4 unknown back row, try and hit something good. And they snag a Snatch Steal. Okay, so Killer likely just setting their hand there to play around potential top deck duo a few turns ago, and then having a Solemn to protect it from Heavy Storm, but Snatch getting hit by the Breaker here is actually a pretty nice win for Ashes Spicy. You don't have to worry about that pretty much the rest of the game, unless there's some Magician of Faith shenanigans, but at least for now, you don't have to worry about it. We'll see if their flip monster is anything. No, we're going to keep it flip face down, which makes me think it is probably just Sinister Serpent. Everything else probably flips here, is my guess. And Breaker will attack the set, and it is Magician of Faith. So Killer here probably just going to grab that Graceful Charity. Snatch Shield is a decent target as well, though. We're just going to go for the Graceful. Definitely makes sense. Oh, and then we're going to go main phase 2, flip Summon Spy. Ah, interesting. So I guess wanting to play around potential Mirror Force here by not flipping Spy in main phase 1. So sacrificing a little bit of damage to play around Mirror Force. I could see going for that, right? You're not really the aggressor in this matchup most of the time, so you can afford to sacrifice 1,200 points of damage, potentially, to keep your Spies on board. That definitely makes sense. Especially now that Tribe is gone, these Spies are a lot safer, unless Killer has, exactly Premature Burial, because the call is gone. So very unlikely that you'll see this Tribe for the rest of the game, I feel like. So resolving Spy and committing to this, full spellcaster board with Breaker and double Spy is a lot safer than it would normally be, because you don't really have to worry about Tribe, probably. So yeah, nice turn there for Ashes Spicy. I like the way they sequence stuff there. But Killer was able to both get a Light Engrave with the Faith hitting the bin, and re-grab Graceful Charity for the second activation in this game, which is really solid. We're going to get End Phase Dust Tornado on this new back row, hitting a Scapegoat, which was dead at this point in time, but a good card to know you don't have to worry about anymore. And now the back row is completely clear for Killer to go for some sort of play. Premature on Tribe would be absolutely insane. You have Graceful Charity to dig for it potentially. Fire it off, sure. So we'll discard Knock and Mirror Force. Okay. Two very good cards for Asher Spicy to know that they don't have to play around at this point in time. And so that means that they probably kept some really good stuff in their hand. Let's see exactly what it is, though. Premature Burial for Charm Infecting Virus, as mentioned. Pretty insane play here. We're going to go Call Spellcaster, discard the Smashing Ground. That's brought in because it can kill Chaos Monsters, but also Zumbira, which is a common side deck strategy. Against Warrior, out of Turbo, although Ashes Spicy seems to be on the Chaos Control side post, or plan post side, which means they're probably not running that many Zumbiras. But yeah, Tribe, the perfect card here to just wipe out Ashes Spicy's Spellcaster heavy board. We have a Kaiku in hand here as well to take full advantage of the empty board now. You can start banishing darks from the opponent's grave. You're dealing 3,400 damage a turn. Really, really strong play here from Killer to launch themselves into the lead here in Game 3. Likely has a Solemn set as well, which is quite strong. Otherwise, they're not setting probably that Snatch Steal and a bunch of the other stuff. So it'll be really hard here for Ashes Spicy to deal with this. Two powerful threats on the board. Tribe just capable of dealing with a lot of powerful monsters in Ashes Spicy's deck. Kaku here threatening to banish all of the darks that have hit the grave so far. And potentially a Solemn to stop your first answer. Gonna be tough for Ashes Spicy to come back in this one for sure. We're just gonna set a monster pass. You know a knock is gone, so decent chance that this is fine. Donzalug is a pretty good draw. Lots of good stuff. Yeah, you just lead with the Tribe here and then trigger both of the combat effects of Kaiku and Dawn if they can both get in. Yep, good sequence here out of Killer. You hit Magician of Faith. That can go ahead and grab, I guess Upstart Goblin? Scapegoat isn't that great when you know your opponent has Tribe Infecting Virus on board. Creature Swap doesn't really do too much. So I can just give you Donzalug, which can't do anything into this board. So maybe, I guess, it looks so desperate, but I guess you just have to grab the Upstart Goblin and try and find some stuff. Gotta grab Scapegoat, though. Okay, so maybe it actually has an answer to the Tribe. Could always just get ripped out by this Donzalug, though. So let's see. Dawn attack first, because if you hit a monster, it gets you a potential other target for the Kaiku effect. So correct sequence here out of Killer. Hits an Abyss Soldier. Nice. For Killer. That is a pretty big monster that could have done a lot of stuff against Killer's board. They could have potentially gone Abyss Soldier, killed the Tribe, set up for the Scapegoat, but now that is not an option. And you still probably banish, I guess you want to banish a Light and a Dark with the Kaiku here, is my guess. Maybe you banish the Abyss Soldier, but you probably just focus on getting out the Darks, and now Killer can pass with Lethal on board. Each one of these monsters on their own represents Lethal, so gonna be tough here for Ashes Spicy. Holding Prior to play around Dust Shoot. We're gonna go fire off the Scapegoat here in draw phase. So if you have another creature swap, maybe that could come through here. But these tokens, if you can't answer the Tribe next turn, will likely just meet their demise very, very quickly. So going for the main phase Scapegoat here or the draw phase Scapegoat here, to play around potential Dust Shoot. I guess the read here could be that one back row is Dust Shoot, one back row is Solemn. See what they can do with these Goat tokens. They're just going to set a back row pass, and unless that's like Raigeki Break on the Tribe in draw phase, or Ring on the Tribe well, you can't Ring the Tribe, never mind. You need to have like exactly Raigeki Break on the Tribe. Or maybe Mirror Force. Maybe. Mirror Force would be nice. We're going to go Tribe, blow everything up, though, discarding the second knock. So if this game goes longer, that could be nice for Ashes Spicy that they don't have knock to play around anymore. Although, especially that Warrior decks that side and Spies against Turbo almost definitely are playing Minecon as well. That's one of the benefits of running Spy, is it makes Mineconning your opponent's Spies a lot better, because you have a target for it. So just because the 2 knocks are gone doesn't mean that Ashes Spicy is completely out of the woods with regard to set monster hate. But this might all just be a moot point. We'll see if Killer chooses to play around Mirror Force at this point in time. I mean, if they just have Solemn Set though, surely, right? Yeah, show me the Mirror Force. No, not gonna matter. Killer almost definitely has Solemn Set anyway, so it's not gonna matter at all. And Killer on this Warrior list will win game 2. A little bit of a slow start there. Found a really high impact Tribe Infecting, or a really high impact Torrential Tribute, followed by Graceful into Faith into Graceful, finding Premature Burial on Tribe to blow up Ashes Spicy's board, and then a couple Donzalug hits, a couple Kaiku hits. Turbo really can't come back from that at that point, and we will go to game 3. And Ashes Spicy on this Chaos Control list now, post side, will be able to go first. We'll see if they can use that to their advantage. Going to fire off Thunder Dragon to start. Pretty solid. Thinning the deck a little bit, getting a Light Engrave quite early. And we're going to go normal summon Sangan, set a back row. Cool. So you're going to normal Sangan to play around Knock here, which is good if you don't have any other set monsters in hand that you might want to bait something out for. Sangan can be quite annoying for Warrior to deal with unless they have pretty much exactly DD Warrior Lady. So potentially just using Sangan here as a deterrent for Killer's aggression, potentially, because there are some very good Sangan targets in the matchup against Warrior. Serpent is just, a good catch-all card, but Tsukuyomi is probably at its best in this matchup. So we'll see if Killer just wants to run over the Sangan or actually is worried about some of the potential targets that could come through. Killer here, gonna go set a monster and set 4 pass. So classic Warrior start there, except for the fact that the monster is face down. We know they're on Faith, we know they're on Spy. We'll see if Ashes Spicy respects it. We didn't see them play any set monster hate last game. Didn't see any Muncons, didn't see any knocks. So Killer could be just in a safe spot to go set stuff with Abandon here. We're going to go Tribute Summon for Thunder Dragon. Cool. So I guess Ashes Spicy, if that was your play, normal Sangan makes that a lot safer because it can't get knocked, so it can stick around for this Tribute Summon. However, Tribute Summon for Thunder Dragon is honestly kind of weak against Warrior, right? The 1600 attack stat line is good in the Turbo matchup and good against stuff like Chaos Control because it's Sook-proof, things like that. But it just dies to almost every monster in the Warrior matchup. And so I don't generally like doing this early in the game when the board state is still super complex. I mean, if you just really need to get a search Sangan for Sinister to turn your Abyss Soldier or something online, which Ashes Spicy is running, or grab Sinister for Graceful Charity or something, I can see doing it. But I wouldn't really expect this Thunder Dragon to live very long, I guess is my point there. This does also get Chaos Live Engraved, though. Light and Dark. So maybe we'll see BLS come down. Ash is going to go grab Magician of Faith here. So must have some sort of powerful spell that they want to go for. We're just going to go attack the set with the Thunder Dragon. It's just going to get hit with Saku. It's actually not a bad usage of Thunder Dragon here. If you can trade it for a Saku, that's totally fine. It's better than I expected the Thunder Dragon to do. But Killer saving their set monster here is a little bit interesting. Ashes Spicy not adding any new back row. Just gonna, I wonder what they wanted to grab Faith with. Or Faith for, if they're not actually playing any Trinity spells or anything. Killer's gonna draw for turn. We'll see why they felt it necessary to Saku that Thunder Dragon. Just gonna go set another monster pass, so really just playing like a turbo deck at this point in time. Threatening lots of flips. Not pressuring the life points just yet, but definitely could at a moment's notice. Ashes Spicy, their back row was Scapegoat, so we're going to fire that off in the draw phase. Potentially going up for a little bit of a creature swap play, like we saw last game. We're just going to set a monster pass. Interesting play there. This is one of those times where if you don't have the creature swap, I'm not entirely sure what you needed draw phase Scapegoat for. And no back row to protect it. So, I guess maybe if you're set monster here, I do think Ashes Spicy runs Mystic Tomato because they're an Abyss Soldier deck. It's a pretty common card to see because obviously when you're running Abyss Soldier, you really want to find Sinister Serpent. Serpent is only searchable off of Sangan, right? Which means you don't really have too much Serpent coverage, which is why a lot of Abyss Soldier decks or decks that really need to see Serpent will run Mystic Tomato, because then you get the roundabout Tomato search for Sangan, Sangan search for Sinister. So it's almost like Mystic Tomato is like a shitty second copy of Sangan, basically. And so maybe if this set monster is the Mystic Tomato, I can understand using the Scapegoat this turn. So that way, if the tomato gets beaten over, it can still special summon this turn without turning off Scapegoat, right? Because if the tomato gets killed and it summons a monster, then Scapegoat, because you can't summon any other monsters the turn you use Scapegoat, you can't use it then. So potentially just firing it off this turn just to make it so that tomato is more of a thing here. We're going to get flip summon Mystic Swordsman. So Killer saying, you know what? I've just been waiting for you to play a set monster. My Mystic Swordsman was being very stealthy here, chilling in face-down defense position. I'm going to flip it up and now kill your set monster. We got Kaiku here as well to turn Chaos off. Not going to be able to get in for any major damage anytime soon and banish things, but the Floodgate effect is super relevant at this point in time. Mystic Swordsman will attack the set. It was just a Dekoichi. Okay, interesting. So, yeah, not entirely sure why we needed main phase Scapegoat in that scenario then. But Dekoichi will just get killed by the Mystic Swordsman effect, and Kaiku can start whittling away at these Goat tokens while continuing its Floodgate effect to turn off Chaos. So nice turn here from Killer, getting a cards with the card advantage, starting to work on these Goats. Ashes Spicy not under any insane pressure just yet, but the warning shots have been fired. Ashes Spicy going to draw for turn. Tribe Infecting Virus is going to come down. Very, very good card. Can deal with this Kaiku. Maybe set up for a Chaos Mon. No Solemn coming through. We're going to go Tribe discard Serpent. So they have the Serpent in hand here, which I guess explains the Sangan search for Faith a little bit more, because if you already had the Serpent in hand, one of the key targets is already gone. Could maybe also have Tsukuyomi in hand, in which case, sure, Faith might be the next best target. But we're going to go Tribe effect for free, discard, or pop the Kaiku, discard a Thunder Dragon here, call Warrior, pop the Mystic Swordsman. So Tribe getting in a lot of work, and we're going to go creature swap here, steal this other set monster, which was an Exiled Force. Interesting. So Killer here, being a little bit cute, we went set Exiled Force and then did nothing with it for a while. Just, I guess, maybe trying to bait out potential knocks or things like that. But it seems like Ashes Spicy has just forsaken all set monster removal, which is definitely one viable strategy to play against these flip-heavy warrior lists. Not taking any of the bait here, and honestly, getting an exile off creature swap is pretty nice. Like, it does a lot of stuff. Especially against a warrior deck where generally you're like really only summoning one monster at a time, maybe two. Exiled can do a lot of damage here. Tempo-wise, just keeping Killer at bay if you can remove their threats. So really nice turn here. Tribe can now get in for 1600 damage over this token. And this is a pretty formidable board for Killer to answer here. Board got broken here. Kaiku gone. Mystic Swordsman gone. Maybe the Scapegoat activation was to coax Killer into going for a little bit more aggression, because they didn't want to waste too many turns getting through those Goat tokens. But then Killer, if you get a little bit aggressive here, you're playing right into the big board sweepers like Tribe Infecting Virus. So maybe Ashes Spicy playing a little bit of a mind game here with that seemingly oddly timed Scapegoat, just to give the opponent a little bit of a reason to go a little bit wide and then play into the other card that Ashes Spicy obviously knew that they had at their disposal, that being the Tribe. So Killer now very much on the back foot. Not out of it just yet, but Tribe is a very scary card. Gonna fire off Delinquent Duo. Good time to do this, because you know all the Thunder Dragons are out of hand and the Sinister Serpent is currently in the grave. So this will almost guaranteed to get max value here. I think it has to get max value, because Ashes Spicy isn't running Night Assailant, so all of the insulators against this duo are gone. See what they hit. This could be a big... It doesn't impact the board, but it is a nice card advantage swing. Hits Magician of Faith, which I guess we knew about was in hand. Cool. And then Spy will hit the grave as well, which, as we saw previous games, this match is a very, very strong card against Warrior. But Ashes Spicy choosing... I mean, Spy can't really do too much at this point in time because there's no room for the second Spy. So with that in mind, discarding it, I think, makes sense. Interested to see what they choose to keep over, though, for sure. And now Killer here. Ooh, we've got Snatch Steal on the Tribe. Yeah, so nice sequencing there. Duoing the opponent first, so they don't have the information that they're about to get Snatch Sealed. Now you can go Tribe, beat over the Exiled Force, and then kill the rest of the tokens, and then you're left with Tribe and 2 back row to Ashes Spicy's 2 cards in hand. Could be really strong. Yep, kill the Exiled, main phase 2. We're going to leave the Goat tokens on board. Pretty interesting. I mean, depends on what the set monster is. I mean, Magician of Faith would go pretty hard, I think. I mean, maybe not. Duo is potentially dead, but could be Gravekeeper Spy. Gravekeeper Spy would be nice. Ashes Spicy can safely grab the Sinister because there's no Dust Shoot concerns at this point in time. We're going to go Sook, kill the Tribe, though. And yeah, so I think they must have had Serp and Sook in hand at the time that they went for that Tribute Summon play. Because otherwise, grabbing that Faith doesn't really make too much sense to me. We're going to ring the Sook, though, to protect the Tribe. That's really strong. And now, unfortunately for Ashes Spicy, their Tsukuyomi flipped the Tribe face down, removing the Snatch Steal. So now it's harder to answer the Tribe because you can't just use back row removal to get it back. And you'll stop actually gaining the life every turn. So pretty catastrophic sequence of events here for Ashes Spicy. I think the play was probably correct. Like, Sook kill Tribe is generally no-brainer. But it getting answered really, really sucks. And now Killer is in a really good spot. Yeah, Sook gonna hit the grave. Ooh, but BLS will come down. Show me the Solemn. Oh, no Solemn at all. We're gonna go Prio, banish the Magician of Faith. Cool. So, yeah, that's a nice readout of Ashes Spicy, I think. Pretty much a lot of the time that set is going to be Magician of Faith, and Faith Grab Snatch when you just played BLS is pretty bad. Now, it looks like Killer just set a bunch of unchainable back row turn 1. Unless they really, really wanted to hold Solemn here. I mean, I guess hold Solemn is okay because it is main phase 2. BLS can only banish one of these 2 monsters. If they banish the Tribe, you have Faith Grab Snatch to take it. If they banish the Faith, you have Tribe discard kill BLS. So maybe holding Solemn here is fine. Surely this backer has to be Solemn, though. You're not just going to play into heavy that hard turn 1. But if it is Solemn, I can definitely understand holding it here. I think that's actually decent. And Ashes Spicy is going to pass. And so your BLS is vulnerable to Tribe, but just had to play it. Yeah, the catastrophic Tsukuyomi play ended up mattering a decent amount. Ashes Spicy feeling like they needed to go BLS to banish the potential Magician of Faith that was set. And now it's just going to be a sitting duck for the Tribe Infecting Virus coming through. Going to flip up Tribe. Tribe Effect, discard any card. In this case, it's called the Haunted. Kill that BLS, definitely makes sense. And now Tribe can kill a token. Not really pressuring the life points, but this Tribe will do a lot of work here for a Killer if it's allowed to live. Ashes Spicy draws for turn. T-set pass. Okay. Killer, some interesting options here. Haven't seen a Knock or a Minecon yet. This set could be some good stuff. There's still multiple Spies left. Still Magician of Faiths. Still Dekoichis. She's going to go to battle phase, kill that token, and then set a back row pass. So this flip could resolve, and it could be pretty nice. We'll see what it is. Oh, we're going to get Normal Summon Breaker. Killer thinking about this. We're going to Solemn Breaker. Okay, so the last card was Solemn. Killer holding it really long. And I wonder, did this... Now, this is pretty results-oriented, but did this work out? Like, could you have just Solemned the BLS? You would have had Koth in hand to Koth for Kaiku or Exiled would be pretty nice. But Solemn Breaker here, I think, is also okay. You're down to 2150. I mean, is it okay? It's kind of not great. Ooh, but Astro Spicy, their set is apparently not real. So probably Sangan is, I guess. Or no, we know the set is Sinister Serpent. Never mind. Silly me. We know the set has to be Sinister. We knew that that was in the rotation. So Killer, yeah, smartly just not really attacking it. Last turn, you're happy to let it just chill there. Remove a potential Metamorphosis target. Oh, it doesn't look like Ashes Spicy is running that, but no reason to kill the Sinister, of course. We're going to end phase Dust Tornado, pop the back row, but we're going to get Ring on the Tribe, dropping Killer down to 550 life points. And that's the thing with these Solemn Judgments. This is what did Killer in game 1. Take a bunch of damage, which is great to protect your threats, but suddenly you're just really, really low on life. Sinister is a 2-turn clock here, and you have no cards to your name. And, Warrior thrives in these top deck situations, but when you have 550 life in your opponent is at over 6,000, it's really kind of scary. Ooh, Blade Knight is a decent draw. You can keep the Sinister off the board. It is a big body, but it doesn't deal with the Sinister permanently. It can just continue to wall out. Ooh, and then this is just almost game. Sork come down. Or no, this is just game. Yeah. Sork can kill the Blade Knight, deal 300, and then the last 300 is dealt by this Sinister Serpent. Hate to see it when you get killed by Sinister, but this card is just so good, so versatile. It does everything. It's going to come in for lethal damage here. And, yeah, there you have it. Ashes Spicy on this turbo-sided into Chaos control list is going to take it down 2-1 against Killer's Warrior strategy. Some pretty cool games in this one. Pretty grindy ones in this game in particular. Very, very back and forth. Killer got off to some pretty solid aggression early on, but then just got kind of killed by kind of back-to-back Chaos at a certain point. Ashes Spicy winning the top deck war here. Chaos is basically, Turbo and Chaos Control's trump card. Warrior likes, like I said, Warrior likes to be in these top deck sort of modes. But the saving grace of the Chaos decks is that they have more Chaos monsters, so that they do actually have some very, very viable late game top decks that Warrior is hard for them to compete with. If you draw anything else, Warrior's pretty happy, but Chaos is very tough to deal with in these very simplified game states, and that is going to be what takes it down here in game 3 for Ashes Spicy. Really cool games, guys. Let me know what you think down in the comments. I will catch you all next time.